So here's the real deal that nobody is telling you. No one actually gives a damn about small businesses. The reason why the last 2 decades, small business has been on a steady decline and the number of contracts have been going up is because they don't actually care about you guys. So once you get that out your head, you'll stop thinking about fair versus unfair. You'll stop out there trying to protest and complain about the system, and you'll figure out how to get your act together, because really at the end of the day, you're the only one's going to make a difference in your life. So when you're looking at it and you're saying, well, Eric, I mean, the government says that they got a small business goal. Yeah, I know what they say. I get it. I know the numbers. I know the data. I'm the guy that tells people about the data. I'm the one that speaks to the SBA programs, telling people to get this, to get that, to start this, to start that, right? But the truth is they don't actually care about you. And once you accept that, right, then you've accepted reality. And again, in this world, I have to come to you guys with some reality. So here's the game. Number one is just figure out that the government does not give a crap about you, the small business. Cool. Now, once you accept that, then you can start acting and carrying yourself in a different manner. And let's go into some of the reason why we say that. So we know that the gap is large and increasing more and more. We know that the government is doing weighted goals. What does that mean? So when they talk about their 23% of the goals that they hit, we know that's on a weighted scale. What is a weighted scale? You remember in school that you used to get graded, right? And so if the top person got an 80 percentile, then the 80 percentile became 100%, or that became the A. And then that effectively you could get a 60 percentile, and then you would get a B because the top guy got an 80 percentile. So that's kind of the same way that they do the goals, right? So all the goals, the 20% goals that they claim that they're hitting, right, and achieving, even under the previous administration. I mean, they said that they hit the biggest amount of goals ever in history. And yes, they did. It was just on a weighted scale, right? So what does that mean? That means, no, if they effectively achieved 15% goals, that became the new bar, because what they did was they threw out all of the what they call was contracts and opportunities that small business could not do. So the actual number was higher than the effective number, right? So then they graded themselves on the effective number of the scale. And so that just shows me that they actually don't care about making their goals. But if you try to blame the right or the left, or you blame the cow or the horse or whatever the two animals are, right, then you are going to be caught in the same trap that a lot of people are caught in, that end up poor, right? And so what I'm trying to do is keep you from being poor and have you open your eyes. So let's accept right now, let's just all say, hey, they don't give a crap about us. Cool. Now, what does that mean? Now we have to start actually learning what these programs are. Let me give you some other reasons why. When we look at, for example, SAM.gov, and we'll make another video specifically about SAM.gov. SAM.gov, everybody, SAM.gov, SAM.gov, SAM.gov. SAM.gov only has 5% of all the contracts. So again, what about there's 90 different .gov websites that you can go to actually look up opportunities. 90. So SAM.gov is one of 90 places to go to look up opportunities. Think about that. How many small businesses can actually navigate themselves through that freaking matrix to actually try to figure out where are opportunities for their niche? It's not possible. They don't want it to be possible. They're not trying to streamline it. Yes, they say it's a government data point of entry. That's a lie. And then when we look at all contracts as a whole, right? So let's just look at all contracts, period, just hands down. When we take the DOD and we look at the top 100 companies, right? If you just navigate the top 10, they're getting 50% of all the work. 10 companies get 50% of all the work. Does that show you a group that cares about small businesses? When we look at the GSA program, right? The majority of the companies that are on some of these GWACs are graduated from their small business category. They're not even small business anymore. So if that, I've given you 5 reasons already to tell you why they don't care about you. And you guys are sitting here trying to figure out that why does the government system not working? It's not working because you are not working it. So I want you to keep that in mind. The reason why it's not working because you're not working it, because you are simply thinking, I'm going to rely on being a small business and that's going to get me opportunities and contracts. We can clearly see by Trump's dinners and his meetings and gathering the tech community together. If you look at that picture, you can go back and trace their history to their political ties and their affiliations with these organizations and what made them successful. Because when you look at, for example, the number 1 richest Black person in America, Alex Karp. Alex Karp came from a company. He owns 5% of stock in a company called Palantir. A lot of us have heard about Palantir because they call spying on people, and they're doing surveillance, and they're cataloging all of our IDs. By the way, he's from South Africa, just so you know. He's got a black mom. So when you look at Alex Karp, he made his money Palantir. Palantir came out of In-Q-Tel, which was the CIA's organization for buying technology. So they spun their company from the CIA, gave them their initial start capital to start 20 years ago, like in 2005, along with Peter Thiel, which again, if you haven't heard that name, look up Peter Thiel. So Alex Karp and Peter Thiel and another person started Palantir. It came out of a CIA office called In-Q-Tel, which is now Q-Tel. I think they've shortened it to Q-Tel. They then took and grew that organization up to where it's at today to give Alex Karp a $14 billion net worth, making him the single largest black person in America. So again, and when we look at the size and the scale and the scope of these relationships and how ingrained they are in government, and we'll start to connect some of the dots in some other videos, then you'll realize they don't care about you. That doesn't mean you can't win, right? Because there's still opportunities out here. There's still people that are inside of civil service that wants us to win, right? So when you look at some of the small business offices and people, those folks that are like government employees that have been around a long time, like for example, Jackie Robinson was on my show, those people still care about us, right? And they want us to win. However, they have limited power and limited control, so they can only do so much. So you can't simply say that like, I'm going to rely on them because they only have so much power. Remember, when the president changes hands, right, when we change governments, the amount of appointed positions, right, are all the department heads. So that's why before we had Linda McMahon on the SBA under the first Trump, right? And then now we have, I don't know who the new person is under this current SBA, but every few years, right, when we change administrations, we change all the department heads, and then all of the decisions flow down from there. So even though you may have civil service people sitting in roles that have been in those offices for 20, 30 years that really want to see us win, the people at the top, they don't really care. So now that you know the truth, we'll talk about some things that you can do to actually put yourself in a position to be successful and win, because we still can win. We just have to accept the facts and the reality of where we stand first before we go out and actually do something about it. I'll see you in the next video.